today. There's a lot going on right now in the mixed martial arts world, and your boy Matt is here to go over it. That's right, we're going to cover it all. Last week's card, a few fights off of this week's card, and a few other things that these fighters got issues with. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy Matt. We are here to go over a few things, a few news, a little bit of news topics going on in mixed martial arts right now. Let's start out with last week's card. Last week's card, in which in the main event, Kamaru Usman turned back the hands of time, went out there and defeated Joaquin Buckley in a 5-round decision. So here's the thing, man. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think Usman was going to look that good. You know what I'm saying? Pause. I didn't think he was going to look that good, bro. Kamaru Usman went out there and implemented the old school Usman game plan. And that is, you might take a few shots on the feet, but you try to eat them. You get the opponent down to the ground and do your thing. His wrestling technique is just too on point, you know, for the takedown defense, I should say, of Joaquin Buckley. I thought Buckley's defense was going to be better, but apparently the former wrestlers or the other wrestlers I've seen Buckley against in the octagon, they just wasn't on that level of Kamaru Usman. So Usman goes out there and for the most part cruises to a comfortable decision. He really only saw any type of, he was never really in danger, but he took some shots in the 5th round. Nevertheless, Usman goes out there and gets the win. Now, let's talk about a couple of things, as I was saying, that were bothering, I said things that were bothering fighters. Maybe this is more something that's bothering us about a fighter. Kamaru Usman wins this fight. Now, Usman, shout out to him. He was very emotional in his post-fight speech and the post-fight press conference, because you could really tell getting this win meant a lot to him. It meant he was right in his mind. He was right back where he was supposed to be. Because you got to think about it, he's coming off of losing to Leon twice, as well as losing to Hamzat up at middleweight. So he was incredibly emotional, and that's all good. But the homie is talking like now he should get slotted in for the next welterweight championship, or next title shot, I should say, after Islam and the Jack Della fight. This is where I got a problem, and he should have a problem too. Usman, stop, bro. Stop, all right? I appreciate you going out there and, and putting on a wrestling clinic over Buckley, but bro, you shouldn't be walking right into a title shot. I know the UFC sometimes plays those games when they need to fill up a main event, and they're like, pull an old champion out the closet. Let's throw him in the main event. But bro, if there's injuries going into fights, short notice fights, okay. But bro, you can't be out here. I mean, it's all good, but come on, man. This is a different time, different UFC. We ain't got no stars left. And I know you think that means that you're going to get the shot, but this UFC works different. We trying to negotiate a new brand deal. A new rights deal. So it's like, I don't know if dude's going to get that title shot. Personally, I feel like the fight to make for Usman is Usman versus Bilal Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? Bilal doesn't need to get an immediate rematch for the belt, of course. Throw the two of these guys in there. They already got beef. There's a mythical, legendary podcast that no one has heard where apparently they went at it and it got pretty chippy. But nevertheless, bro, Usman versus Bilal Muhammad, I think that will be a super good fight. Let's move on to another fight that was on that card, the co-main event, where Thug Rose, Namajunas, goes out there and defeats, in a 3-round decision, Miranda Maverick. So, here's the thing. Miranda Maverick looked better than I thought she was going to look. right, against Rose. And this says a lot about where Rose is at this point in her career. In my opinion, Rose Namajunas squandered some of her better years of her career chilling in her garden. And I'm saying that as a Rose fan. But when Rose was out here eating these women alive in the octagon, she chose to set out for like a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? Almost 2 years. Might not have been that long, but it was close. So she could sit in her garden and chill and fix her mindset and her mentality. And I get all of that. But one could argue, because it looked like Miranda Maverick might have sustained some sort of a knee injury. Rose caught her. I'd say this was actually in the third round. Rose caught her with a short shot, but the way Miranda kind of dropped down, and it looked like it was more of an issue with her knee. And from what, if I'm not mistaken, afterwards she said as much, that there's something going on with her knee. So one might argue that without that knee injury, there's a good chance Miranda Maverick could have won that fight if she hadn't have got dropped like that in the third round. And then when you add on the fact that it could be knee injury related, so it just wasn't a clear punch and I dropped you by Rose. It was a little bit, seemed like something else, probably injury Miranda Maverick was already dealing with. Now, I'm not saying that Rose is not a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but what I can say is what we've seen out of Rose at 125, while she's tough, for the most part, she's durable. She got her whole finger broke in the Manon Farrow fight. But nevertheless, this is just not the best Rose, right? I still notice that she's walking out there with Pat Barry. There's no Trevor Whitman. This just isn't the best Rose, and it's like there's something missing, right? At 125, she doesn't have the physicality to do things like how you're expecting Rose to do things. Her movement is not as good as it was, and she's not really that old at all to be, falling off like that. Nevertheless, she goes out there, she gets the win. Afterwards, she's kind of all over the place in a way, like wishy-washy about what she wants. Even in her post-fight speech or post-fight press conference, it's just like, she's like, if they give me a title shot, I won't hate on it. I'll go along with it, but I wouldn't mind a fight with Natalia Silva, and then there's Shevchenko. And it's like, Rose, what are you even doing, bro? Like, what do you want? Do you even still want to fight? Do you even still want to make it to the championship? Which she said as much, but the urgency for any of this is not really there. And I don't know, I'm assuming that it has to do with the weight cut. Maybe there was a super tough weight cut for her to drop down to 115. So I get that. But this is just not working, in my opinion, at 125. I know she's still racking up wins, but it's just like she's barely getting wins. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of doubt sometimes when we're going to the judges' scorecards. So I don't know what she's getting ready to do about that or how that's going to improve. I mean, MMA journalists be boasting how diesel she looks and how in shape she be looking. And it's like, she just looks bigger than what she used to at 115. But she's not coming in ripped up or toned or too much or anything like that, or, kind of bringing any physicality like Erin Blanchfield or anything. She's not doing all of that. So I really don't know what she's going to do. In my opinion, what you're looking at as far as Rose options is a fight with Valentina Shevchenko, because I could see that at this point, if the UFC is about to have Yair versus Volk 2, I could see the UFC being put into a jam at some point if somebody pulls out of a fight or a main event falls apart and Rose going in there to face Shevchenko. I mean, that's a fight that the UFC could definitely sell. Two huge names, two females that are going to be Hall of Famers eventually. But is it deserved? No. Rose versus Alexa Grasso, I think, would be a good fight. You know, I know Alexa's coming off of a loss, but that's definitely just a good fight, like all around. And I mean, if Alexa wins, maybe that puts her in a position to be able to do something. You know, I could definitely see that. You know, I'm not really trying to, I don't know. I don't have a ton of enthusiasm for what Rose has got going on, even though I'm a Rose fan, because I just don't really know where her head's at. And who knows? We haven't known where her head's at for the last 6 years of our career. Anyway, so, you know, what are you going to do? Anyway, there were some other good fights on this card, couple little interesting things that we're just going to go over real quick. Cody Garbrandt loses to Hani Barcelos. Cody Garbrandt, look at this dude. You know what I'm saying? Look at this dude, bro. This dude beat our legend that is Dominic Cruz and has never delivered since. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, how did this dude beat Dominic Cruz and TJ Dillashaw twice? Well, actually, he didn't even beat TJ. But still, glad he didn't beat TJ. Nevertheless, dude, this dude, I mean, he's been such a letdown. And one of the biggest letdowns about Cody Garbrandt is when he comes out there with that crooked dagger over his eye, that dagger tattoo that's a dagger in the heart of MMA fans that we ever actually believed in you. This dude, I mean, Hani Barcelos is a veteran. He's a well-rounded fighter. But years ago when Cody Garbrandt was on a tear, you would never believe he's getting ready to go out there and look clueless against Hani Barcelos. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, that's what we saw. That's what happened. Let's move on. Alonzo Menifield versus Omar Sy. Worst fight I've seen probably since Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. Horrible fight. Omar Sy wins. Horrible fight. Both men should be ashamed of themselves. They should have gave their purse back. They should have gave whatever purse both men were paid, they should have gave it back, or at least half of it. It was terrible. Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. I'm just skipping around going over fights that I just want to bring up something about. Rodolfo Bellato, tomato, who cares? The dude may have faked his way to a no contest. Now, if he was trying to fake his way to winning the fight, it didn't work. If he was legitly effed up and knocked out, even though he was seen glancing at the referee to find out what was going on, okay. Either way, whether you believe that he was actually hurt or he was acting, the way that fight should have ended, let's say it was all real, is via DQ, and that's how that should have happened. Not a no contest. Now you messed up both fighters' money, and nobody wants to see them run it back, so I don't know what they're going to do. I just wanted to bring that up. I know it's a hot topic of people battling if he was really knocked out, if he wasn't, whatever. I'm not really tripping on him. I don't ever see him being a force in the division anyway. So, moving on. Malcolm Wellmaker goes out there against Chris Moutinho. You know, did exactly what we felt like he was going to do. Laid him out with that legendary Thanos hook of doom. You know what I'm saying? That check hook that he's got is like Thanos' glove with all the rings. All the jewels. You know what I'm saying? All the gemstones in it. It's that check hook could floor a Boeing jet. You know what I'm saying? It'll knock it right out the sky. Malcolm Wellmaker is awesome. He's a little bit older for his division, so I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to a title shot. But right now, he could make a lot of money being a big action fighter for the UFC, and the fans seem to love him. It's awesome. Shout out to that man. Jose Ochoa goes out there and murders Cody Durden, even though Cody Durden is double tough and durable, and he'll be right back next month fighting somebody else. But on Saturday, Ochoa murdered him. Nevertheless, shout out to Jose Ochoa. That was pretty cool to see. And then finally, we got Phil Rowe versus Angelusa. Bro, this fight, Phil Rowe might have been on his way to losing via decision, and a fight broke out in the third round. And that's the only way to describe it. These men started throwing hands. At one point, Angelusa gets caught. He's hurt. Phil Rowe is sending rights, lefts his way. Ange backs up against the cage. Phil Rowe grabs the man by the side of the face, the side of the head, might even slid down around his neck, and then takes his right hand and starts delivering these ball-peen hammer punches to the temple of Lusa and to the jaw. Just, straight cracked him in his mouth multiple times while he's holding him up against the fence. Great visual, Phil Rowe. Shout out to you, Fresh Prince. Awesome to see. Great finish. Good highlight. I was down with it. Nevertheless, that was last Saturday's show. Now, this week we have, let's take a look at this week's card. We have Khalil Roundtree in the main event against Jamal Hill. Now, for this one, I'm actually, we're kind of pivoting to what's upcoming. For this one, and I don't know, I don't know if he's the favorite or not, but I definitely know he's not the fans' favorite. No, he is the underdog. I'm actually going to go along with Jamal Hill on this fight. I know that that's probably an unpopular opinion. I don't know, man. I think the best Khalil Roundtree we have seen, the toughest he'll be, the best he'll be in the octagon, might have been his fight with Pereira. I'm not saying that he's necessarily completely peaked, but that might have been as good as you're going to see it. He was motivated. He wanted it. He was feeling it that night. Pereira was a little bit under the weather as well. Jamal Hill is actually a good fighter, right? He has good instincts. He's got power. He's got pretty good timing. He doesn't have the best kicks, but he still delivers kicks, and he can really hurt opponents. I think he met a motivated buzzsaw that is Yuri Prohaska in his last fight, but Jamal Hill had moments in that fight, and he seems to be very mentally dialed in his fights. Like, he's aware of all of his opponent's attributes, what they do best, what they do the worst. I just think he's fighting against the top caliber of opponents, the best of the absolute best. Now, Khalil Roundtree's coming off of fighting the best, being former champion Alex Pereira. But I think Jamal Hill's going to get this one done. You know what I'm saying? He's coming off a few losses in a row. I think he's going to be hungry. I think he's going to be eager to get back in that win column. I think he'll leave no stone unturned. It's an unpopular pick, but I'm going to go along with Jamal Hill to go out there and get the win. Then, only other fight I'm going to mention is in the co-main event, we got Rafael Fiziev stepping in there against Ignacio Bahamondes. I got Bahamondes. No shade to Fiziev or Fiziev. I'm not sure if it's Fiziev or Fiziev because I've heard it pronounced both ways and 10 other ways as well, especially on UFC broadcast. But I think he had his moment, and it's a given, but he hasn't quite looked the same to me after his injury against Gamrot. I know he's coming off a loss to Justin Gaethje, But Bahumundez has been on a tear. He's only taken a loss, within the last few years. I believe he lost in 2023 to Klein. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go along with Bahumundez to go out there and get the win. I really feel like he's on the tear right now. He's focused. He's got the confidence, you know what I'm saying? He's already taken the L in the UFC, so he's already had a chance to shore up those loose ends and bounce back. He knows what that feels like. Granted, we know that Rafael Fiziev knows what that feels like as well, but I think Bahumundez is going to be able to get it done. He's a little bit more rangier, the longer fighter, taller fighter. I think he's going to be able to go out there and get it done. When I'm looking at this card that's coming up this Saturday, it has, I think at the end of the day, there's some decent names on here, but just looking at the card, I think there's going to be some banger of fights. Like, there's not the biggest tip-top names on this show, but I think you're going to have a lot of scraps on here. Just by looking at the names on here, I think you're going to have some scraps. So, be interesting to check it out. Oban Elliott's fighting. That's going to be cool. So, we'll see how it all goes down, man. But it goes down this Saturday. Main event, Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill. I'm going to go along with Sweet Dreams Jamal Hill to get the win. And in the co-main event, I'm going to go along with Bahumundez to get the win over Fiziev. So, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Where do you think Usman fits in the welterweight division right now? Is he owed a title shot, or should he probably go in there and face Bilal Muhammad so we can build up that grudge match? Where do you think Rose Namajunas should go, and who do you have winning in the main event between Hill and Roundtree? Let me know. Please like, subscribe, comment, as I said. And once again, I do want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA, and I'll check you next time. Peace.